I do this show live stream every Friday at 12 noon with a different guest. And what better way to start this year than with a guest in the field of wellness, who's a self-made woman and an entrepreneur and a former colleague of mine from back in our early 20s when we both worked in a beauty biz, Ariel Haspel. Hi. How you doing, Ariel?
Hey, Christine. Hey, everyone.
Ariel's business is called Be Well with Ariel. And Ariel, I'd like to start by just kind of hearing about your journey to entrepreneurship before we get started on the personal branding and all of that.
Sure. So I used to work in the corporate world with Christine. We both worked at a very large, amazing makeup company. It was very, very corporate. We looked out into Central Park. I wore a suit every day. And it was right when I graduated from college. It was an amazing, 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 amazing job and an amazing opportunity. It actually led me to go to nutrition school. So I ended up going to nutrition school. So I ended up going to nutrition school, and I ended up working in the office there. And I had a dream of I've always had a dream. I always had a dream of really starting my own thing, but it wasn't until I got laid off from my job that it really gave me the kick in the butt to actually do something about it. And when I got laid off that day, I called my mentor, Gabrielle Bernstein, and I called her up and I said, "Gabby, I just got laid off from my job. What do I do?" And she said, "Ariel, congratulations. Now is the time to start jewelry business." And so this jewelry business was something that I had really been thinking about for a while.
Instead of like going very unique.
Yes. So I'll tell you kind of the idea of how that morphed. But really the whole idea was that, so I started making jewelry on my own. Instead of like buying new outfits, I would just make my own jewelry. And that would be like my own, my new outfit every day. And there were a few items that people would just always compliment me on. And it was the I Love Me ring. And of course, I'm not wearing it right now, mom life.
Wow.
But maybe you can provide a link later.
Yeah.
It's called the Love Me ring. And I created it and I just wore it just for myself. I actually created it for myself because it was a really cool ring, and people started complimenting me on it. And so when I got laid off, that really gave me the opportunity to start my business.
And your pieces are infused with healing energy with Reiki, right?
Yeah, so because I also had a passion in wellness and I went to nutrition school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my education. And so what I decided to do, and this was a recommendation from Gabrielle, she said, focus. I had so many different passions and different ideas for this business. I wanted to create my own health coaching business. I wanted to work with children. I wanted to do events. I wanted to start my jewelry business. But she's like, "You're too all over the place. Just focus on one." And so that's when I really chose to just focus on my jewelry. And anything that I was inspired about or anything that came about went through my jewelry business. And so I went on this 30-day focusing challenge. And every day I had to do something towards my jewelry business. So if I had like an inkling or if I was inspired by something in the wellness world, I would infuse it into my jewelry business. And so that's how the idea kind of came about with starting my jewelry, my wellness jewelry, and really how the idea of the I Love Me ring came out, because it's a reminder to love yourself and take care of yourself. And so all of the jewelry is stamped with the term I love me. And of course, it's a reminder of self-love, a gentle reminder to really take care of yourself. So that was my way of meshing all of my passions together and creating it into a business. Yeah.
That's awesome. So now let's go back a little bit. In your corporate life was when you were inspired to go to nutrition school and become a nutritionist. So how did those two connect? How did your life at the time and your job at the time and whatever lifestyle that was impact your decision to go into wellness?
So it's an interesting thing. I remember I had a desk right near the CEO. I won't name names, Christine, you will remember. I had a very important office right next to the CEO, and like Lenny Kravitz would walk in, and all these celebrities would be literally next to my office. But there was one day, and this really has nothing to do with it, but there was one day where, well, let me start over. So my life back in the day, I was still living at home, and I would wake up super early, put on my suit, rush to work. I wouldn't even give myself like enough time in the morning to eat a breakfast. I remember I would like eat a banana or a protein bar on my way to work, or I would pick something up from the corner deli, and I would run on the subway and get to work, and sometimes I wouldn't even eat breakfast. And then it was like computer, conference call, meeting. And I remember like, I wouldn't even go to the bathroom to pee. There were days when I reminded myself that I had to go to the bathroom to even just to go pee. So I started living this very like fast-paced hustle life, and really, really, really unhealthy. During the day, I remember I would get salads from the nearby salad place, and I would like scarf it down in between conference calls in front of my computer. I would never go out for a breath of fresh air. I would never even take a break to go to the bathroom. So I was living this very fast-paced life, and there was one day when I fell asleep on my desk at work. And it wasn't just because like I was partying the night before. It wasn't because I, maybe I was working a little too hard, but it was really because I wasn't taking care of myself. Mm-hmm. And that was really the tap on my back to be like, okay, something's going on. I need to fix something. And I really didn't know how to help myself. And so I started going to doctors, and they couldn't really diagnose me with anything. And I didn't realize at that point that it was just really my unhealthy lifestyle that was causing me to fall asleep on my desk, causing me not to feel my best. So I ended up, it was after a few months, but I realized I needed to take my health into my own hands. And I heard about this nutrition school. It's a holistic nutrition school where they look into all different parts of life. So not just what you eat, but your sleeping and how you are treating yourself on an everyday basis, and how you're breathing, and just like all these different things that were so not part of my life.
Yeah. It's all so interconnected. Sorry, go ahead.
It's so interconnected, but I was so disconnected from my own body and from this other type of lifestyle. I had no idea that there was this other type of lifestyle, because I was just like moving and grooving and going. And anyway, I'm very thankful that I ended up falling asleep on my desk. I think it was probably for like three minutes. This wasn't like a 45-minute nap. But I'm very grateful for that time, because it enabled me to really find a whole new world for myself.
Now you mentioned your guru, Gabrielle Bernstein, who I'm actually seeing tonight for the first time. I'm going to the city for her book launch. I'm very excited. Good way to start the new year. How did you two?
Totally. Well, I hope to see you.
Yeah. How did you two get together?
So this was about, oh my goodness, maybe like 9 years ago. It was right when she was starting her own business. And I remember I actually was, I was sitting at my desk in the corporate world where Christine and I met, and it was at Estee Lauder's company. Mm-hmm. It's not really a secret, right, Christine? No. I'm sure we're very proud. I'm very, very proud that I used to work there, and it's an amazing, amazing, amazing company to work. Very, very inspirational, inspiring people that work there. Yeah. So I remember I was sitting at my desk, and I got this email from a friend. It was titled "Falling in Love with Your Future." And I was like, falling in love with your future. Like, it just spoke to me. Yep. And she was doing, this woman named Gabrielle Bernstein, had no idea who she was. She was doing this lecture at the Soho House. And the Soho House was just featured on Sex and the City. It was only $20 to go to her lecture. And I remember, like, you needed to know someone in order to go to the Soho House. So I was like, only $20 to go to the Soho House. I still have the email. I sent it to all my friends. I was like, who wants to come with me? one of my colleagues from work, Jen Valley, ended up coming with me, and we went to this lecture, and it was amazing. And I remember I went up to her after and I was like, I want to fall in love with my future. Can you help me? She's like, give me a call tomorrow. And that's when we started a relationship together. And that's when she's still on my speed dial, and I'm very grateful. That was when she didn't have like 6 bestsellers under her belt. She didn't even have 1 book under her belt then. So I could call her a little more often. But she was really the inspiration for me to take the leap and to go to nutrition school and to really take care of myself. And and to follow my passion and to work hard at it too.
Yeah. And I don't want to get too stuck on her, but I mean, that's the way you started is the way she started as well. I know her backstory includes, you know, being go corporate life in Manhattan and then burning out and healing herself and then turning that into a way to heal others. So I'm sure you guys have a lot of affinity there. So let's go back to how you started your business. A lot of your business is very much, you are your business, you know, I mean, you are the lifeblood of it. You're the face of it quite actively. You've got beautiful, beautiful ways of showcasing that on social media. So let's talk about that journey, how you started out putting yourself forward as this brand, how social media has aided with that, and all the great places it's led to for you and how those pathways really happened. I hope that's not too loaded, too much of a mouthful there.
No, so let me try to answer your question. So in the way that I understand it. So yeah, you know, I have an Instagram following called Be Well with Ariel, and I kind of took a little hiatus this past year when I had my baby. My priorities definitely shifted, and I'm actually opening up a restaurant in the spring as well. What? So yes,
that's amazing.
Yes, yes, I'm very, 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 very excited. I was just talking to the interior designer about all the cool lighting that we're going to be putting into the space.
Oh, God. I want to hear more about that, especially at the end. I want you to plug that, but go ahead.
Sure. As much as I could say, because I don't want to tell you too much. We just got the key 2 weeks ago. So there's not much to see or talk about yet, but the food is going to be really, really, really delicious. So I can't wait for you to come. But in any case, so, you know, my social media is really, it's an extension of me and my brand and my personal life. And so a lot of people sometimes ask me, you know, when they're starting out in their business, should I create my own social media account? And what I always say is, unless your business is an extension of you, and hopefully your business is always an extension of you, but I think in some cases, some businesses are more of an extension of that individual person than others. Unless it is, I would say really create your own separate one, because I do definitely post about my baby. I do definitely post about my husband. I post about personal stuff, but any of the personal stuff that I do post is really, it's Be Well oriented. It's Be Well influenced. It's all about wellness.
How did you figure out how to put those lines in place for yourself and your family when that came about?
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? You got cut off.
How did you figure out where to put those lines between the personal and the professional, and how much of your personal you share professionally?
You got cut off a little bit, but are you asking how I decide what personal stuff to put on?
Yeah.
I'm kind of an open book at this point. You know, the people that I follow that I'm really inspired by are very authentic and are open books as well. You know, of course, there are things that I try to keep private, you know, even just like my own home. There was a company that came into my house a few months ago, and they wanted to take photos of my baby in a little jumper in her room. And at first I was like, it's like, I don't really want people in my house taking photos, and I haven't really even taken photos of my baby's nursery and posted them yet. And I felt like it was kind of invasive. but then I thought of it and I was like, you know what? It's hopefully inspiring, right? And if it's inspiring in some way to other people, I'd love to share it. And so that's really how I come about it. And if something doesn't feel good to me, by the way, I don't post it, but I always try to, you know, my intention is for my account to be an inspiration to others, for others to feel uplifted and inspired and really just to feel good. And so if I'm able to do that, if I'm able to share my own personal journey with people, whether it's a snapshot of my baby's nursery or even like my own bedside stand or the dishes in my sink or anything just personal, I try to share. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I do intend to be as authentic and real as possible. And so my intention is that I would like to share and open up as much as possible as well.
That's great. I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you do put forward on, backing up. Instead of what you put forward on social media, you started, as you said, from the jewelry place and expanding into nutrition, which was your training. I'd love to talk about more how that's built, because now you have partnerships with brands, which is great. But it seems like you're not just an influencer. You're not just someone who has a really nice Instagram feed and other brands want in on that. You're doing more than that. You're actually doing real work with them. You have a cooking show on Glamour. You just did an event with a beauty brand. I'd love to talk a bit more about how that element of your business grew, so that instead of selling the wellness jewelry and doing individual health training for people, you've created this whole wonderful brand. And I'd love to hear a little bit about that evolution and what it means for you now, how those opportunities came about, and how you choose which things to align yourself with.
First of all, thank you so much. Thank you for being inspired. And Christine, you've been such an amazing, amazing support network for me. And you've just been so supportive and such an amazing, amazing cheerleader, specifically on Facebook. And so thank you so much for that.
You're doing good things.
You know, in terms of my business, I kind of want to tell you, like, oh my God, I don't even know. And there's so many things that I still want to do. So thank you for your compliments, because it just reminds me that yes, I have done a lot, even though I still want to do more. I would say that it took little tiny right actions. When I started my jewelry business, it's called the I Love Me Collection. You can find it at theilovemecollection.com. And Christine, maybe we could put a little link to the jewelry company after this on Facebook Live. When I started my jewelry company, the I Love Me Collection, it wasn't just an overnight thing where I started, dressing all of my friends, and Gabrielle Bernstein on the cover of her book, she's also wearing the I Love Me ring, and other celebrities are wearing their I Love Me rings. It wasn't just like one day I created this ring. No, I had a ring and I wanted to start sharing it with others. And so every single day for 30 days, I did a tiny little thing towards that business, with the end goal of making it as a business. And something to note is that, yes, I wanted to make money off of it, but the greater impact that I wanted to make was I wanted it really to help women. I wanted it to be an extension of women's self-love practice. And so when you're creating a business, and especially the business that I'm in, of course it's about the money. And of course I want even more money in my bank account right this second. I really have this underlying principle and this underlying motivation to help people. And so no matter what, that's my motivation for my business. And I feel like when you have that motivation, you're able to touch more people, because people don't feel like you're just in it for the money. People feel like you actually want them to help you. And so when I created my jewelry business, and when I create my health coaching, and when I create when I started doing my cooking classes and my cooking videos, it was really, I had to remind myself before I got on camera each day, people, how can I help more people? How can I help more people? How can this be helpful for people in their own kitchens? And so that was a question that I asked a lot. And so no matter what business you're in, whether you're starting your own business or if you work at a job right now, always just continue thinking thinking, how can I help more people? How can I be helpful to people? How can I be helpful to others? So does that answer your initial question? I don't even know what your initial question was. I don't even remember.
It was really long. I'm sorry. Yes, that does. I'd like to talk a little more specifically, though, about how some of the things that you're doing came about and some of the different avenues that you've been going in. For example, a good place to start is the cooking show with Glamour.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd love to tell you that story. And you know, again, it's just hopefully this is inspiring just really to be you, but not just to be you, to be the best version of yourself. So and to be fully you as well. Like I am fully myself. I am fully this wellness girl. I am fully everything that I preach. I don't just eat kale salads. I don't just eat quinoa. I go to the pizza restaurant and I eat regular pizza, and I'll post about that, right? I am an extension of myself in real life. There's nothing really that I'm hiding, or at least I try not to hide anything. My Glamour show came about. This is one of my favorite stories. My Glamour show came about. I was getting married, and my best friends, and my sister put together the most amazing bachelorette party in Fire Island. And if you don't know Fire Island, it's right near New York, right near Manhattan. And it's one of my favorite places to go. And you don't even need shoes. There are no cars. And in any case, my friends put together a Be Well bachelorette party. And instead of doing like the drinking and all the shots, we did yoga every day, in addition to some shots. But we did every day, and we made healthified make your own pizzas. And what else did we do? We did intensati on the beach, and we did like all of these Be Well with Ariel, really, really fun bachelorette activities. And when we got back, I got a call from a friend, and she said, Ariel, I had the most amazing time at your bachelorette party, and I told my friend about you. She's a producer at Glamour. Would you mind if I told her a little bit more and like shared some photos of your bachelorette party? I was like, sure. Again, open book. It ended up that this producer, Liza, who's actually one of my very good friends now, called me up and was like, I love the idea of your bachelorette party. I want to, and I love all the things that you're doing. At that time, I had a blog and I started making all these healthified recipes. And she said, I'm so inspired by you and what you're doing. I want to create a show off of it. And so that's when Treat Yourself, the idea of Treat Yourself on glamour.com came about. And so it was really, really all the show was just an extension of me. It was treating yourself with good foods, good, delicious, indulgent foods that wouldn't make you feel deprived. So you would feel actually good after eating like healthified nachos and healthified pizza and healthified sweet potatoes and stuff like that.
What's one of your top healthy swap tips for, or not even a swap? What's one of your top tips for?
One of my healthy swap tips.
Mm-hmm.
So the restaurant that I'm opening is a healthified Chinese cuisine,
oh, cool.
Which I'm so excited about. And one of my favorite types of, so Chinese food is I love Chinese food, but I often can't eat it because it doesn't make me feel good. I can't eat it from like my local Chinese restaurant.
Yeah.
So what I end up doing is I'm swapping soy sauce for tamari. And tamari is a gluten-free soy sauce, and it tastes almost exactly like soy sauce. So I make a fried rice made out of quinoa. So it's a quinoa fried rice, and I use a little bit of tamari and a little bit of toasted sesame oil, and I put in a bunch of veggies, and I always sometimes put in a little bit of animal protein as well, like shrimp or chicken or grass-fed beef, and it is absolutely delicious. So one of my favorite swaps is swapping regular rice for quinoa, which has a little bit more protein in it, and then also swapping soy sauce for tamari.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
So good.
Now would be a good time if anyone has any questions for Ariel. That would be great. In the meantime, one of my last questions is: so you've built your brand, that came first. You built your intention, then you built your brand around it. Then other opportunities came your way to extend your brand. Do you have any tips for how to make sure that your social media and your digital presence doesn't just stay there, but actually goes to work for you. Do you have any tips for how to make sure that it actually helps drive your business forward and not just serves as inspiration?
So, yeah, I have a few tips. If you are looking to build a brand on social media, and, listen, I'm looking to build my brand as well, but the way that I kind of got here, and I actually feel great about my feed and what I share, I only things that make me feel good. And so in that, I hope that other people feel good as well. And if something doesn't feel good, if something doesn't feel right, if a photo that I post doesn't feel right, if something feels too negative, I take it down. Everything that I post has to feel good for myself. I have to feel confident with the photo and the caption. And it's not about like perfectionism. It's just more about like the feeling that I get inside. So I would definitely suggest, if you are starting something, feel really, really, really good about everything that you post. And if something doesn't feel good, take it down.
That makes a lot of sense.
On another note, in order to, attract the people that you want to attract, I would say, it's not about selling, right? So for example, I hosted an event with a company called Ritual. It's a beautiful, beautiful, body and home brand, skincare brand, skincare and home brand based in New York City, and also in the Netherlands. And they're opening different locations, and they asked me to be one of their influencers. And so as a influencer, they asked me to host an event. And I wanted to get a certain amount of people to go. And, it's not about selling. It's about sharing. It's about getting so excited about what you are hoping that people either buy into or come to. And it's about getting into a place where you get so excited yourself that when you're inviting people somewhere, it doesn't even feel like you're selling to them, right? And by the way, like these tickets, you don't even have to pay for the tickets, but I just got into a place where I got so excited about the event. I was creating like delicious maple sesame cashews, and I had my friend make really gorgeous calligraphied cards that went along with their little treat bags. And I made apple cider mimosas, and I put a little star anise inside. And I came up with like these awesome 5 tips to live healthier and to live more zen. And I got into a place where I felt so excited about this event, and people ended up showing up. People that I didn't even know end up showing up. And so that's just get excited about whatever you are doing. And if you're not excited about it, get to a place where you're so psyched, and then share it. And people will come, people will come, people will come. And another thing is, I would say use that focusing challenge that I used right when I started my business. It was really helpful. It's not about just hosting an event tomorrow, right? It's about the little tiny, tiny, tiny things that you do every single day. And so I would say pick one small thing, get a journal, and just commit that journal to opening up your business or starting your Instagram or building your Instagram following, and just focus on one thing per day and make that your mission. And I would start off with a goal for 30 days. And once those 30 days are up, hopefully you've accomplished whatever you've accomplished. If you haven't, go on to the next 30. And hopefully you're going to do an awesome job and you're going to feel accomplished.
That's such a powerful thing. Back when I was starting my business and I was feeling a lot of imposter syndrome and a lot of fear around that and self-doubt, that was a promise that I made to myself in kind of an informal way. I was like, at least send someone an email. Just do something every day. And some days, and I still have to stick to that.
Research something. Reach out to someone that you feel inspired by. And by the way, that's actually one of my tips. If there are people that you feel inspired by, a lot of people contact me. How do I start my business? Can I take you out? They actually don't ask me to take me out for coffee. Can I get onto a phone call with you so I could pick your brain? And I have to be honest, that's my pet peeve. Do not ask people to pick their brain, okay? What I would recommend, the people that I've helped have asked, how can I help you? So if there are people that you're inspired by, and hopefully there are many people that you're inspired by, whether or not they have a big social media following, or whether or not they are opening up the same business that you want to open up one day, or whether or not they're an interior designer and they own their own interior design firm, you know, whatever it is, reach out to them, tell them how inspired you are by them, give specific examples, and then ask them how you can help them now. Don't just ask to pick their brain. Ask how you can help them and learn from them. You know, when I was just starting out, I would sit on Gabrielle Bernstein's living room floor and I would listen to her conversations on the phone, and I would help reach out to people, and I would be like her, I would be her cheerleader. I would help her. She would ask me for help. She's still asking me for help to this day. And so I've learned so much from her in exchange, but it wasn't just let me learn from you, let me take all that you know, and so I could start my own business. No, how can I help you? And still to this day, I'm helping Gabrielle, and in turn, she's helping me so much.
Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for all of your insights here. I've just put your website up there, bewellwithariel.com. Anything you can tell us about the restaurant would be awesome. And I think it's especially great that you're starting a restaurant because, of course, you've heard this a lot. You're kind of a doppelganger for Jada. So that's kind of beautiful. And you've actually met her at this point, right?
I do. And someone was like, oh, you guys look alike. And she's like, maybe. Sometimes I do think we look very, very similar. Listen, she is someone that really, really inspires me, whether or not we look alike. She is doing amazing, amazing things. Hopefully I get to meet her again, and I get to ask her how I can help her.
I think she should totally come to your restaurant opening. I think that would be just the perfect photo op.
Totally.
Do you have any idea when your restaurant might open? Is it in Manhattan? Anything you can kind of say?
Spring. Few months.
Woohoo!
Cross your fingers.
All right. So everyone go to bewellwithariel.com right there. You can see that. And you can, of course, follow her on social media all over the place. And again, I'm Christine Gritmon, Christine Gritmon Inc. Social Media. I do this show, Social, every single Friday at noon on Facebook Live on my Christine Gritmon Inc. Facebook page. And I always interview a guest about how they're using social media in their professional lives, whether they're a fellow social media strategist or a business owner or anything like that. So every Friday at 12 noon. Thank you so much to Ariel for being on. If there's any...
Good luck to all of you. I hope that this was helpful today. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, or you could direct message me on Instagram, Be Well with Ariel, and I look forward to hearing from you. Go do awesome things.
Woohoo! Bye, everyone.